Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to our weekly call here with Red Earth Marketing. Matt Ham. I have the privilege and pleasure of leading these weekly calls. I appreciate everybody who's jumping on our live call and also to those who are watching on our recording via our YouTube channel. Always like to mention we've got probably 60 of these videos now on our YouTube channel. There's a lot of different content, a lot of different information, stuff you can always go back through. If you're riding to or from an appointment, or you're killing some time in the car, or you're waiting in an airport or on your treadmill, it doesn't matter. If you just want to listen, you can listen back. We try to keep these calls to 20 minutes, and hopefully there's some impactful information and nuggets in there that really help you in your life and your business. We started these calls as kind of approaching the whole life mindset. It was not just about sales skills and techniques and tactics. It's kind of how does this apply to my entire life, including my personal life, my professional life. And so we bleed into those areas often, but that's the purpose of these calls. We can focus niche down on some sales tactics in a one-to-one environment. We certainly do that. And sometimes these calls are more focused on sales. Today's topic is going to be something that is broad. It encompasses every facet and area of our lives, but I think it has fantastic application, especially in the sales arena. And I think, honestly, it's one of the most overlooked dynamics in the world of a sales professional. If you were on the call last week, you know that I challenged everybody and I said, if you're a sales professional, then act like it. Then treat your profession as a professional. Just like a professional athlete would prepare for the game. They would, of course, play the game, and then they would watch game film. That we all have to take that same mindset of professionalism into our week, into our day, as it regards our appointments, our phone conversations. And I think a lot of folks fail to put in the work on the front end of preparation and on the back end of reviewing. It's just kind of like we fly by the seat of our pants. We have some conversations. We take people on tours, but then we're busy and on to the next thing, filling our calendar, with a bunch of ancillary things that are part of being a salesperson, but not focused on actually selling things and being a sales professional. So along those lines, I want to continue with this week's conversation. I want to talk about a topic that I did not understand for many years of my sales life. I was always good at this, but I never really learned how to harness it, especially in my personal life. And that is the power of the tongue. Okay? So today I'm going to make a statement and a claim that the tongue, your tongue, right, is the greatest asset you have as a salesperson. But if you're not careful, it is also your greatest detriment, because it is this weapon that we can use for good, but it can also be used for bad, and it can be misused. And so it may seem granular to you guys as we're going through the topic today, but I'm going to challenge you to think about how you use your tongue. And there are two specific dynamics that we're going to break down. One is how you use your tongue in reference to others. And the second is how you use your tongue in relation to yourself. So this is about external talk and language and internal talk and language. So I want to break down those two things. But before I do, I never really understood the power of the tongue. I just knew I could always get away with talking. That was one of my gifts, and also too one of my greatest liabilities is I always talked a lot, sometimes too much. My mouth got me in trouble, but my mouth also talked me out of a lot of things, And I growing up, that was just always me. I could just always talk. I could always conversate, but I didn't learn how to harness my mouth until much later in my life. And so this is a really profound study. If you ever want to do something fun in your free time, go online and research on Google or YouTube or something, the rice test, or the 2 jars of rice. Okay. This is a powerful and profound experiment that really brought to light the power of the tongue. Now, this may get a little, metaphysical for some of you guys, but it is a true and real experiment that will absolutely blow you away when you really think about what's going on here. So here's the experiment. If you take 2 jars of cooked rice and you close them up in a jar and you set them in 2 separate rooms, and you walk in every day, and to 1 jar of rice, you speak life and encouragement and praise. And to the other jar, you speak death and discouragement and criticism. The jar of rice that is in the room where you criticize and speak negatively, that jar of rice will actually mold faster than the jar of rice that you speak life to. Now, this is a true and real experiment, and it freaks you out because you're like, same jars of rice, 2 different rooms. Why is this one old and moldy and this one looks normal? And it has everything to do with the power of our words. Now, again, not getting too metaphysical on you guys, but this is a real thing that you can go look up online if you don't believe me. It also works with plants, living creatures, and things like that. And we know this from our own experiences because think about this. Think about your own lives. Do you ever remember a teacher growing up, or maybe an uncle, an adult, it could be a parent, and they spoke encouragement over you? They say, you're awesome. You have so much potential. I love being around you. I love your work ethic. You've got a great future ahead of you. Versus a teacher or a parent, uncle, whoever, who said, you're no good. You're just like your mother, father, whatever, and they were critical of you. It had a great effect on your kind of holistic well-being. And a lot of times when I work with people in a one-to-one environment, they're still dealing with the repercussions of negativity and disbelief that was spoken over their life 20 years ago. 20 years ago. It amazes me. I still have 45-year-old grown men that are struggling with things their father said to them when they were 8 or 9 years old, and they've never been free from it. And so their whole life has been built around trying to get their dad's approval, and so it causes this ripple effect. So what I'm getting to there, though, is the power of words. So with that being said, I have a couple of really cool passages. You guys know this. This isn't some, spiritual lesson or some Bible study, but I love referencing some scripture from time to time. And today I'm referencing the book of Proverbs. Proverbs is pretty neutral, right? This is like just wisdom for the ages. And so I want to read this because these are very, very powerful. Now, what you're dealing with here is wisdom that has been passed down for 3,000, 4,000 years, okay? So look at it from that lens. Don't look at it as a Bible passage or I'm trying to preach to you. I'm not. Think of this wisdom as wisdom passed down for thousands of years that still has great application today. Proverbs 18, if you ever want to do just any personal study or look, Proverbs 18 is largely dedicated to the power of the tongue and the mouth and the words that we say. And here's an example of some of the things that Proverbs 18 says. Number 1 is the words of a fool start a fight, right? That's apparently obvious on every platform of social media right now, is the foolish words start a fight and foolish people have foolish words. The second, fools are undone by their mouths. I remember something my grandma used to always say. She said, argue with a fool and onlookers can't tell the difference. I love that. And it still has great application in our lives today. Argue with a fool and onlookers can't tell the difference. Another thing that Proverbs says, it says, answering before listening is stupid and rude. That is classic salesmanship 101. Answering before listening is stupid and rude. And so when you start to break this down, I want to put application in, and that's where we're going next. So just hang on to it. The last thing I'll share here from Proverbs 18. Words kill. Words give life. Poison or fruit, you choose. And so when you look at this kind of like metaphysical stuff going on, the power of our words, when you look at this ancient wisdom passed down for thousands of years about the power of our mouths and how we can begin to harness it, let's now bring this into home in regards to your lives as salespeople. The number one thing we're going to focus on, the first thing, is what do you say to others? It's very important for you to get very granular about the things that you say to your clients and customers. And I would go so far as to think through in your presentation, in your phone skills, not only what you say, but how you say it. Going back to last week, if you're not practicing your script, if you're not practicing kind of a role-playing environment with how you speak to your customers, and if you're not taking time to review, then you're doing yourself a great detriment, not taking it seriously as a professional, to think about how you describe the community. I think there's a lot of talk about like even the simplicity of a lot versus a home site, right? We can call it a lot, but a lot is very bland. It's vanilla. It's unemotional. It's just a lot. No, it's a home site. So we're going to go look at a few home sites today. Instead of just saying, I'm going to go show you a few lots. This sounds so simple, but I'm telling you, when you learn to harness your words, it has a profound impact on how you communicate with other individuals. Not only what you say to others, but how you say it. When you think about how you're selling the community, when you're thinking about how you're selling the amenities, when you think about creating a lifestyle with your stories and with your language, be very intentional all the way down to the granular aspect of how you're communicating this with your customers. And then going back to that thing, answering before listening is stupid and rude. Questions are your most, they're one of your most powerful assets. When you can learn how to ask great questions to your customers, it opens up a box of, they're giving you an arsenal of their desires that you can in turn utilize when you go back to them. So when you ask them things like, Mr. and Miss Smith, whether it's, here at Village of Providence or somewhere else, what are the most desired amenities for you and your family? When you close your eyes and you visualize your dream home, give me the 4 things that you see first. When you're thinking about a retirement community or when you're thinking about a community for your family, what are the 3 most important things for you? You have to learn how to ask these questions, and then you have to learn how to listen well. And you use them as food and as kind of they're giving you an arsenal of things that you can begin to relate to them on. So you go, Mr. and Ms. Smith, I know that you said that school districts were one of the most important things for you. There was just a recent news release on the school district here was rated the highest school district in the Tri-County area, or whatever the case might be. I know you said that bike riding is a huge pastime of yours. We have over 10 miles of trails that you can ride on, or whatever the relationship is. Learn to ask powerful, impactful, poignant questions. In fact, I would almost challenge you guys now, if we were doing like a brainstorming thing or like an interactive deal, I would go to all of you and I would say, what are the 2 questions that you ask every prospective customer that are kind of your key to unlock what it is that they want? And you need to get really good at asking these questions and learn how to hear what they're saying and then lock that away to be able to use it down the road. So this idea of the power of the tongue has 2 applications when it comes to others. What do you say to others? How are you saying it? And then also, how are you phrasing your language to provide engagement for someone who's stepping into relationship with you? This goes back to, John has put down the 8 different areas of kind of the sales process, when it goes to building rapport, the 4 big ones: clarifying, qualifying, showing the model home, the location funnel, locate a property, the 6 different stages of closing, and then the creative follow-up, right? I know y'all have done this in a sales training before. Those are the 8, kind of the way he walks through the sales process. When you go through that, the majority of these require a solid use of your tongue. And so think through how you are communicating with your prospective buyers, customers, clients, and also to the team around you. And that's where we're getting into the second aspect here. So this is not only important for what you say to others, this has powerful impact on what you say to yourself. If the 2 jars of rice were your life, and one room is the room where you speak to yourself with a positive mindset, positive attitude, encouragement, life, hopefulness, and the other room is where you speak to yourself negativity, shame, disappointment, regret, the best version of you is going to thrive in the room where you speak to yourself properly and well and positively and encouraging. The one of the most massive things that we deal with when I'm working with people is how they speak to themselves and what they allow out of their mouths. Okay, perfect example. How many of you have said this? This client is killing me. Right? This customer is driving me crazy. Matt is driving me crazy with these videos, whatever. Think about what you're actually saying out of your mouth. You are declaring with your tongue that you are being killed and that you are going crazy. So when you look at the fruit that's born from your life, when you look at the things that are going around, guess what? You spoke it over your life. You said you're going crazy. You said it was killing you. I tell my kids this all the time. They go, Dad, I'm starving. I'm like, you have no idea what starving is. So how dare you use that language? And it might seem trivial to many people. They go, what's the big deal? It's just words. Yeah, jars of rice. Okay. Go back to jars of rice. And I would challenge you guys is, what is your self-talk? What does it look like? Even further, when you come to a team building dynamic, you do not need to be bashing other salespeople to builders. You don't need to be bashing other builders to builders. You don't need to be bashing the company to builders or to your coworkers. You have to have a tight rein on your tongue and not begin speaking out things in that kind of toxic environment where it is fuel for everybody to be chaotic and against one another and to be divisive. Listen, this is one of the reasons why I'm here. If y'all have challenges or struggles with another salesperson or with John or with me, come to me. Let's talk about it. Not in a group setting, right? Not in a gossiping way, not behind the scenes. Now, listen, it's fine to blow off some steam. And, if you're having a beer, you're going out to dinner, say, I'm really struggling with this. But think about how you speak to one another and think how you speak about one another in this teamwork. One of the things that John really wants me to focus on is the team building dynamic here. I know you guys think that you're individuals, and you are. That's one of the great freedoms of being a salesperson, but you are also part of a team. We don't need any mavericks out there who are running off at the mouth and, shooting from the hip and on their own program. It doesn't foster or feed anything from a holistic standpoint of the culture of the company and the organization. And so today, I'm kind of wrapping up. Take some time to really think about what you're actually saying and get real granular and focused on what's coming out of your mouth, not only as it relates to your customers, but also as it relates to yourself. And I'll say this, one of the greatest detriments that people overlook is how they speak about themselves. And this is so hilarious because many of you may remember kind of the old skit from Saturday Night Live. I can't remember. Al Franken, I think, was the character. I'm good enough. I'm smart enough. And doggone it, people like me, right? He does this thing in the mirror. And he's basically mocking the power of self-talk by doing this like goofy character who just like tells himself that he's awesome. But I'm telling you, if you don't spend time speaking life and abundance and goodness and praise and encouragement over yourself, you're going to live in a world that tells you the other, that you're not good enough, you're not capable, you're not going to make a sale, you're stupid, you're no good, you can't do this, this is killing me, I'm dying, this is driving me crazy. Pause for half a second, think about what's coming out of your mouth, and if you believe that your words have power, then begin to change how you speak to others and how you speak to yourself. And I promise you, if you speak life and goodness and abundance and hopefulness and encouragement to others, and if you speak life and goodness and abundance and encouragement to yourself, you become unstoppable because you have this massive force of energy and encouragement that is over your life, and it's driving you forward rather than all of the negativity that wants to pull you down. So that's all I have for today. Thank you guys. Do focus on your tongue, what you're saying, how you're saying it, because it is more powerful than you could ever believe. As always, if anybody wants to connect with me one-to-one, you can call me 910-619-4644. You can reach out via email, matt@uprint.life. Thanks so much for jumping on today. See you guys.